Jake, let's move on to one who I think might be a surprise to people. I think he'll have a breakout season in all senses of the word, and I'm going with Joey Bosa. Now, Joey Bosa is an all-pro. Like, he's pretty darn good by himself, and he's been pretty darn good on this team since he's been here. He's also been double, triple teamed almost the entire time he's been on this team, aside from maybe a year or two with Melvin Ingram. And last year, for as great as he was, similar to the discussion with Derwin James, he was kind of handcuffed because everyone was chipping. Everyone was getting him to have at least 2 or 3 guys because they knew no one else was doing it. And as much as we love Chandler Nwosu, as much as we love Kaiser White, very few and far between did we see them consistently rushing the passer to where they were able to get off of Joey Bosa double teams. So, Jake, did you know that last year was Joey Bosa's second worst year, according to PFF, and comes like the defensive grade? 85.8, his worst season other than 2018. Every other season, he had a better grade than last year, 85.8. Now, you give him an interior defensive line that could actually do something in theory. You give him a Khalil Mack, who he has never had someone to that caliber on his team across from him. You give him a secondary with a JC Jackson that gives him a little bit more time to get to the quarterback because he's sticky. You give him a Derwin James, it'll be all over the place. Imagine him next to Derwin James, next to Khalil Mack, all rush at the same time. I think Joey Bosa is going to get through. Like, I feel pretty damn good about that. So, as much as Joey Bosa was great last year, you didn't get to see it in terms of like the end results. He had a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the stuff that you don't see on paper. But this year, I think you're going to see a very different, similar to Derwin James, where in the stat book, like where people make their money, you're going to see a breakout season from Joey Bosa. I'm talking 15 plus sacks minimum, barring health, 15 plus sacks minimum.
Remind me, Dan, it was 30, was it 35 sacks that you said that the Chargers got last year when we were talking about the over-unders? Okay.
Yep.
And so for you to say statistically that Joey Bosa had one of his worst years last year, when essentially he was responsible for a third of the sacks that the Chargers got last year, it's really weird when you put that sense together, because even still, it was the 4th time that Joey has gotten into double-digit sack totals. Last year, he got 10.5. So essentially, he was responsible for a third of the Chargers' total sacks last year. But what does that tell you, Dan?
While being double and triple teamed.
Yes.
This is insane.
But what does that? I mean, what that also tells you is that when the negative stat points are coming into play, as you mentioned, not a lot of good play from the interior of the defensive line. The opposing edge rushers were not doing what they needed to do. Obviously, you couldn't deploy the secondary or the linebackers in the similar way that you normally would have because the defense was just so atrocious when it came to third downs. You were never able to get them in that second or third and long situation to where you can really just pin your ears back and go right after the quarterback. And even if you did, it was still situations where the opposing offense ended up converting. So the Chargers defense in a multitude of different ways just fell completely flat last year. So I don't think this is a bad pick at all from Dan. And as much as this is going to help Khalil Mack having Joey Bosa across from him, it's going to help Joey Bosa just as much to have Khalil Mack across from him. And then with the revamped defensive line that I think you're going to get much better production out of. And again, with the way that the secondary should be playing as well off of that. What was it, Dan? You said 15? You were giving Joey Bosa 15.
Yep, over.
Oh, going over 15. Put it. That's where the line is, 15, and you're going over. Woo! Because I do remember a question not too long ago that Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack would combine alone for 30 sacks. You remember that? I think that we got that in the live chat at that time.
I do.
That's bold by you, but you know what? Screw it. I love it.
Let's go.
Go, Dan.
Woo! Okay, Jake, who's next?